Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradeStation Getting Started channel. We're going to talk about the TradeStation desktop. We're going to highlight some of its functionality. Specifically, we're going to talk about charting. So taking a look at chart analysis. Let me just, sorry, I needed to mute my other computer here. Yeah, as I was saying, we're going to talk about chart analysis. We're going to talk a little bit about matrix and how to place some trades there, and also how you can scan for opportunities using the radar screen tool. So we have our hands pretty much full with the information today. Hopefully you walk away with some useful information. So let's go ahead and get started. The usual disclosures: keep in mind that every symbol and idea that we talk about in this presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not a recommendation of TradeStation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone, especially if you're trading risky products like options and futures. They are leveraged, and we should be aware of those risks. And also, past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. For additional information on these disclosures, go to tradestation.com and you'll find a lot of information there. All right, welcome everyone. Let's talk a little bit about what is it that we're doing at youcantrade.com. We have two channels in there. And when I say we, I mean TradeStation has two channels in there. They're getting started with TradeStation. That's the channel that you're logged into right now, although is on the website You Can Trade. We're also live streaming to YouTube. So if you were able to access the class on YouTube, this is what we do in the Getting Started channel with TradeStation. I do want to invite everyone that is watching on YouTube to join youcantrade.com, because we have a follow-up Q&A where you have an opportunity to ask questions related to anything on the TradeStation platform, but that is only exclusive to people that join the Getting Started channel inside of You Can Trade. I see a few people already connected in the channel. Welcome everyone. And once you're ready to take your TradeStation education to the next level, of course, we have a premium offering, which is TradeStation Education. We meet there every single day. So we have live sessions, opportunities for you to meet instructors, guest speakers. We talk about technical analysis, strategy trading, easy language programming. So there's a lot of content available in the TradeStation Masterclass. I want you guys to check out the content that's there. See if it's something that you want to keep. And this goes for anybody that's inside of the Getting Started channel or anybody that is joining us through the YouTube platform. So welcome everyone. I see some people already commenting here in the chat. For those of you that are inside of You Can Trade, where we're using Zoom, please set your chat windows to everyone so that if you're making comments or asking questions, everyone can follow along and it just becomes more interactive. The same goes for anyone that is on YouTube. Just be aware that it's a public venue. Anything you share there is seen by everyone. Just be aware of that, right? There's no private setting in YouTube, just to put it that way, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch over to my TradeStation platform. Now, the way that TradeStation opens up the first time is not like I'm showing it right now. Let me go here to apps. And there is a button here in apps called TS Today. TS Today is something that opens up the first time that you log into TradeStation. When I click there, this is what it looks like. So let's point a few things here that I'd like you guys to recognize. For example, we have a feature video right here. If you click on that drop down, I think there's only one video. And I do have to talk to engineering to get that updated. It's sort of an older video, but it's similar to this class that we're doing right now, which is a Getting Started with TradeStation. You're welcome to watch that video as a refresher. But any class that we do in the channel gets archived. So you have an opportunity to watch a recording if you want to review the content or refresh your memory. We also have this section down here, or right here in the middle, which is what's happening. This is pretty much the TradeStation social feed. Anything we post on Twitter or on Facebook gets posted here inside of this workspace. And over here on the right, we have upcoming events. This gets updated with the dates here on the right-hand side, and you're able to click on those dates and see some of the very interesting events that are upcoming. And it gives you a very quick way to click on register so that you can register to any of these events. I also want to highlight that this TS Today workspace gives us the ability to check out recommended workspaces. Yep, TradeStation comes pre-packaged with workspaces that you can open up and see how they're set up. I know that there's sometimes a learning curve when you're opening up the TradeStation desktop, so there's nothing better than accessing a workspace that is already built for you, and maybe you can continue using it, modify it just to fit your own trading style. So I want everybody to look at the workspaces. If you're having if you're having a little bit of a challenge of just seeing all the different applications and how to set up your desktops, we're going to start from scratch right here on this presentation. So let me go ahead and close this TS Today workspace. I'm just going to right click on the tab and close the workspace. I already have an untitled workspace tab. Whenever you open up applications inside TradeStation, TradeStation will open up a workspace tab at the bottom, because a workspace is like a container, and it'll hold any application that you launch inside of TradeStation. So if you look at a chart analysis, if you look at a scanning window, any application that you open up will be saved under this workspace. If you save it, it's not automatically saved. So you have to right click on that tab and save it under a custom name if you want your TradeStation to remember your work. Okay, but I want to point out that right at the bottom, we have the workspaces tabs, and it allows you to, organize your work. Let me go here to apps. That's a pull out or a rollout menu. When you hover over apps, it just opens up automatically for you. The same happens with trade, and the same happens with position graph. They all are rollout bars. If I go to apps, this is a collection of all the applications that I have installed inside of my TradeStation. I just have to click on one of these buttons to open up the app. As easy as that. So let's go ahead and get started with charting. I'm going to click on chart analysis. Let me go apps, chart analysis, and that opens up a chart right here in TradeStation. If you need to have multiple chart analysis windows, just repeat that process. Go to apps and then click on chart analysis. The nice thing about TradeStation's applications is that they are, you can drag them to any location you want. You can, grab them by a corner and make them any shape and form that you want. So you can pretty much, be the designer of your workspace. And that's why I referred you guys to the recommended workspace or the built-in workspaces, because sometimes you may not know how to arrange your windows. But if you already know how you want to set up your workspace, then feel free to open up applications, organize them in any way you want, resize them, combine applications as well. So let me go ahead and click out of one of these chart analysis windows. I'm just going to click on the X. That X's it out. So let me go ahead and resize this chart so that it fills up my whole workspace area. And right here at the bottom, it says untitled workspace. I can right click and save the workspace to give it a custom name. I'm going to call this my chart. It can be any name that you want. All right, notice that as soon as I saved it, now the tab doesn't say untitled anymore. Now it has a name. I just named it my chart, and it's already saved to my computer. So next time that I open up my TradeStation, my chart will load up. Let's do a couple things here to this chart, because as you noticed, the chart opened up on a symbol that I didn't supply. So if you look over here on the top left corner, you can see that Tesla was loaded. You also see the time frame. It's a 15-minute. You have a price scale on the right-hand side, and you have the time scale right here at the bottom. I also want to point out that you have a toolbar right here at the top, giving you access to many charting functions. We're going to use them a little bit today. One thing that I want to also show you is that you can change the symbol very quickly by typing it in. I did say that we have a chart of Tesla, but if I want to see a chart of Disney, for example, I just press the buttons or the keys on my keyboard, DIS for Disney. I hit the enter key, and now I'm looking at a chart of Disney, as you can see right here on the top right corner. If I wanted to change the time frame from 15 minutes, let's say, to a daily chart, I just have to click on the time frame little button right here at the top, and I can select daily. Now I have a daily chart of Disney. What is Disney trading at the moment? We can look here on the far right, and the current price is $170.31, and you see that price updating in real time. A couple or a few more things that we can do to charting. If you're looking for any technical studies like moving averages, Bollinger Band, or anything you want to put on the chart, those are all going to be accessible from the Studies button right here at the top. So Studies, Add Study. And let's suppose that I want to add a moving average to line. Let me go ahead and press the M so it goes through to the M's. I mean, sometimes the list of studies gets very lengthy, and pressing a letter on the keyboard just scrolls to that letter, makes it very convenient. So right here, I'm going to look for a moving average to line. Something simple. I mean, we can all understand a moving average. So this is two different parameters. As you can see here is using a 9 and 18, but I have the ability to change those. So, well, let me give you a little bit more clarity on that. By default, if you had selected the indicator, it goes right on the chart like it just did right now. And if you wanted to change the parameters, you can just edit the study. If you go back to studies and you go to edit studies, it gives you the ability to customize the studies and make them, calculate any way you want. One shortcut that I've used is just double clicking on the lines. It takes you to the same customized dialog. And I think that's very, it's a little bit more efficient than having to, go through the menus and finding the tool that you want. So I'm going to double click here on one of the lines, and it takes you to the same dialog that I was showing you before, where on the inputs tab, you can change the parameters for those moving averages. Let me make them 30 for the fast, and I'll make it 60 for the slow, double what the fast is. I'm going to click OK, and you can see how the two lines, they recalculate. They're showing differently right here on the screen, and that's the way that you modify, studies in TradeStation. If you know how to do one, you pretty much know how to do the rest because it's the same steps. You go to Studies, Add Study, and then you go to, you can either double click on the study to customize it, or just go to Studies and Edit Studies. It's the same process, but it's fully flexible when it comes to changing the calculation of all those studies. Let's go ahead and keep an eye. Let's go ahead and do something here. Let's go ahead and set up an alert, because every study that is supplied with the TradeStation platform has this built-in ability to alert you when the criteria is met. Now, of course, every technical idea will have its own, criteria to meet. For example, moving averages, like this one we're looking at, what the criteria is when the two lines cross. Whenever the two lines cross, that's an indication that something's happening. Maybe the trend is changing, something. Traders need to pay attention to what's happening to this indicator. Is pretty much what the criteria is. Of course, if you're planning on trading, we always recommend you look at a collection of different studies just to make sure that your trading decision is not only based on one signal, but is based on a collection of signals, which makes the signal much more stronger. But in this case, yes, I'm looking for those two lines to cross, and I want to react to those two lines crossing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on one of these two lines. I'm going to not go to inputs because we already did that. We changed the parameters there. I'm going to go here to the alerts tab. And this is something that is built into most indicators that you find in TradeStation. You just have to go to the alerts and enable the alert. As simple as that. There's no, writing out the instructions. You don't have to do that. You don't have to say, well, if the fast crosses above the slow, then give me the, no, you don't have to do any of that because it's already built into the code. It's already built into the technical study. All you need to do is come over here, enable the alert, and that's it. We will monitor the criteria for the study, and as soon as the criteria is met, we will send you an alert. How will the alert be presented to you? Of course, you have ways of modifying that. I can click on this configure button, and I can change the audible portion, the visual portion, and also if you want to set up an email to be sent to your email address when the alert criteria is met. So all that is configurable, but the idea here is for you to enable the alert. I'm going to do alert once per bar, which means that every bar I have an opportunity to get the alert. When you do alert continuously, sometimes it turns into a little bit of a problem, because if the alert is triggered on every single tick, meaning that on every single trade, the alert is true, you're going to get alerted on every single transaction. And if you're looking at, a ticker that trades, hundreds of times per minute, then that is the same number of alerts you're going to be getting. So if you don't want your computer to be hung up trying to generate alerts tick by tick, then choose a frequency that works for you. Alert once per bar. It's not a disabled alert, what means that every day I'll have an opportunity to get an alert. Of course, I say every day because I'm looking at a daily bar. So this one alert per bar. But if you're looking at a 5-minute or a 10-minute, that is the frequency by which the alert is going to be triggered, if it's true, of course. So just keep that in mind. But now I can click OK here, and now my 2 moving averages are turned on for alert. And I can just go on and do something else. I can continue to watch the markets, maybe put in some trades, and be assured that this chart will give me an alert. I can come on down here and click on the plus. That gives me a brand new workspace tab, still untitled because I haven't saved it. But this chart that I have in the background still open, still monitoring the price activity for Disney, and is monitoring, the crossover on those 2 moving averages. So even though I don't have it visible right here on my screen, I'm still able to get an alert on that. All right, let me go back here to my chart and do one more thing. If you're looking for drawing tools, they're all going to be accessible from the drawing toolbar button right here at the top. Let me show you a quick way to set up a price alert. Everybody sees that Disney is trading at 169.97. It was 170 just a moment ago. Let's suppose that we're monitoring the price activity, and we want to get notified whenever Disney, goes above 172. For whatever reason, maybe we looked at past historical data. We feel like that's a good resistance level. If it goes beyond 172, we just want to be alerted and just watch what we can do with Disney. If that is the case, I can do the following. I can click on horizontal line. I can click and drag my line down here to 172. If I look over here on the far left, I see the price is 172.04, but I can adjust that by double clicking on the line and going into the data tab and inputting the price of 172 here with 0 cents. I click OK, and the line is adjusted. All right. So now I have a horizontal line that I can double click on, go to the alerts tab, and enable the alert. Now, this is a quick way for you to set up a very quick price alert. So it's very, very convenient for anybody that wants to, get notified when the price activity crosses a particular level. You can do it this way. Just draw a horizontal line and turn on the alert. Once I do that, the line is hot, and I'll be alerted when the price touches it. All right, perfect. So that's charting. Let me go over here to a separate workspace and show you some trading functionality, because a lot of times, those are the main things that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to look at a chart, and then you are probably going to want to place a trade. Excuse me, I was served a Cuban espresso. I have some some friends staying over, and I guess those are the benefits of working from home. They are Cuban, and they brew up these wonderful Cuban espressos. I'm not sure if anybody here has had an opportunity to taste those, but very, very good. And they just keep you going all day because of the amount of caffeine. That's another plus. So let's go here in my second workspace tab. I'm going to open up the matrix. So let's go here to apps and click on matrix. Matrix is an app that I really like for trading because it has a lot of information. It provides you a big view of, I'm not sure that I'm not going to say that it gives you everything, but it does give you a very good overview of what's happening to that particular instrument. So let me go here to the matrix and resize it. I'm just going to resize so that it makes a little bit more sense here to my presentation. I think the font here is good, big enough, so you guys are able to see the font very nicely. I'm going to right click on the tab, save the workspace, and the only reason why I'm saving the workspace is for you to get into the habit of saving your work. Although, you know, the matrix always comes up this way. So, yep, I mean, this is a window that I don't have to save to save the orders that you place in it. Every time you pull up the matrix, it'll be exactly the same. And if you have any working orders, they'll be on the matrix. But I'm saving it just so that you can see the process of setting up your workspaces tabs and accessing them. Okay, so this is Disney. And let's go through some of the information that we're seeing here on the screen. First of all, we see blue and we see red. The blue represents the buyers and the red represents the sellers. In fact, this or the numbers that you find inside the blue and inside the red, that is number of shares that are waiting to get filled on either side. So if you're a buyer, let's say, for example, you're a buyer of Disney and you want to buy the shares at 169.90, which is a little lower than what it is trading at, than what it is trading at the moment. Well, not anymore. Now it's at 169.90. But let's suppose that you want a price that is a little bit lower. When you submit that order, that is an order to buy. And it's going to be sent to the exchange and it's going to be held by the market makers or ECNs by their books, and it's going to sit there. That interest to buy shares of Disney gets reflected right here inside the blue. And it's an accumulation of orders. So whenever you see, for example, let's see 169.75 and I see 1,200 shares in there, is because there's 1,200 shares sitting there waiting to get filled. Somebody out there in the world submitted it in order to buy shares of Disney at 169.75, and they're sitting there. Now, this is some great information to have because you can measure the market sentiment. How many people are waiting to buy or sell at a particular price? Now, that can lead to identifying certain levels, support and resistance. So always be aware of this information. If you're looking at your matrix right now and you don't see that information, it's probably because your account is not enabled for it. This is like additional data packages that you can turn on in your account to get what we call level 2. This is what we call level 2 or market depth. It just gives you what everybody wants to buy and what everybody wants to sell. And I say everybody with a grain of salt because a lot can happen in the market. You have the ability to hide orders, but it does give you an overall market sentiment indication of what's happening right here for Disney. The current price right there in the middle, highlighted in gray, 169.83 at the moment. Notice how it's pushing the low of the day. You know that little horizontal bar? That just identifies the low of the day. So the low of today was 169.80, and we saw how the current price was just pushing that low lower and lower. So we can see that happening right here live in front of our eyes. And we can see how that relates to how people are wanting to buy and sell Disney. Here we go again. Notice that the price is pushing lower, and the lowest price is 169.80 so far, but we can see how it can push it further down in real time. Also, here on the far right, you see traded volume. Now, this is interesting because you can see how each one of these prices have been traded and how many shares have been traded at each one of these levels. Now, a value or a security like Disney is trading at 169. So the pricing here, or the price column, kind of extends itself very much because we show every single penny increment. But over here on the right, top right corner of the matrix, you have something called the axis increment that I'd like to use for stocks or any other symbol that has a high value and sometimes is difficult to keep track of prices a little bit further up or further down. let's say that you're looking for a price of 171 or 172. You don't here, you'd have to scroll up to find that price. So sometimes I use the axis increment to control the way that the prices are listed right here in my matrix. And even more so, if the orders that I'm submitting are at exactly some round numbers. Maybe you're not going to send an order at 169.96 or 97. You're probably going to do, I want to do 169.90 or 170 even. So a lot of times, we think in even numbers, and the orders that we're placing are also in even numbers. So sometimes I come over here to the axis increment and I change this to, let's say, 10 cents. I hit enter. So now take a look at how my prices are set up. They're set up in 10-cent increments. Maybe this is useful, maybe not, but sometimes you get a bigger picture of the prices as they go up or down. You can see how all the shares that are waiting to get filled are aggregated in that 10-cent increment. So sometimes it just gives you an idea of what is the potential going up or going down. Take a look at this right here. Does everybody see this? We have 867 shares waiting to be sold. Well, not anymore, but yeah, it's coming back at 172.50. That tells you something. There's a big selling pressure right here at 172.50. And if we scroll down, we may see similar things right here at the bottom, well, not that far, but sometimes we see a large quantity of buyers sitting at a price that is lower. Now, those are the type of levels that are very interesting to watch because we see a big order sitting there waiting to get filled. All right, enough about market depth and what people want to do and what they don't want to do. Let's go ahead and place some trades. Let's suppose that I want to trade at the low of today. I think there's going to be enough selling pressure so that it's going to drive the price lower. So I'm going to put in an order to sell short at 169.80 because I think we're going to keep on going down. In order to sell, you go to the red column. And I want you guys to take a look at what happens as I hover over the red. On the far right, it says short 500. And if I hover over the blue, it says buy. So the matrix is kind of a smart order entry window that it knows where your cursor is in relationship to the current trading price. We are already at the lowest point. Notice how soon it's going to push it lower. All right, we see a lot of activity going on at that price. And let's go ahead and put in my order. My order is sitting there, 500 shares. There's a lot of activity going on at that price, and we get filled. Now, remember that when you submit an order at a price where there's a big chunk of orders already sitting, waiting to get filled, your order is going to be put in queue, and it's just going to be filled eventually once the orders that are in front of you are exhausted. So now I'm short 500 shares of Disney. Of course, this is a trading simulator. Everyone that has a TradeStation account has access to this trading simulator, which allows you to do some tests very nicely. Let's see, I have some questions here. Let me just go and take a look. I'm getting a question here that says, is TradeStation a direct broker, unlike TD and Webull and a lot? I suppose that a lot of others. TradeStation is a direct access platform. So we are connected to the main exchanges and market makers and ECNs. So every order that you put into the TradeStation platform goes directly to the exchange. There's no middle server or middle ground. So yes, I would say that it is a direct broker. James says, I just opened up my account today, waiting to fund it. And for some reason, I can't get back into my account. James, for issues like that, I do recommend that you contact our support team. They'll look into your account, see what status it is in, and try to figure out why you cannot access it. I don't have a lot of questions here on You Can Trade. You're welcome to ask questions as we go along, or save them for the Q&A at 11:30. That's also something that you can do. 11:30 Eastern time, by the way. We have a Q&A inside the Getting Started channel on youcantrade.com. So for anybody that's here on YouTube, If you have questions on the TradeStation platform and you'd like to join our Q&A, again, 11:30 Eastern Time, go to youcantrade.com, and then inside the TradeStation Getting Started channel, you may have to, become a member. It's a free membership, and the channel is absolutely free. Okay, so we get some selling pressure. Notice that it went lower than 169.80. Although my P&L here on the left-hand side, it's showing a losing of -50 because the price now has bounced back up. This, of course, is just, I didn't, put in a lot of thought to this particular trade. Maybe if I had looked at Disney historically, I would have maybe put in a long trade at 169.80, thinking that it was just going to touch it and go back up. But it's okay. Right here, if I want to go back to the detailed penny by penny increment, I have to go here to the axis increment and type in 0.01. And now I'm back in the game. We can see how the P&L updates in real time. I'm up to $80, $100 loss. Let's say, for example, that I want to set a stop loss. I'm going to scroll up here on this trade. I'm going to put in my stop loss at 200. I can use the P&L column to do that. I just click on the level for the -200, and now I have a buying transaction or buying to cover at this price, 170.20, which gives me a $200 loss. So that's a protective stop if the price does decide to continue to go up. So hopefully that makes sense. Is there a way, PJ is asking, to toggle back and forth between live account and the simulator? PJ, what you need to do is probably, to do a quick switch, double click on the indicators right here at the bottom. Right here, it shows you that I'm connected to my simulator account because it has there's a thunderstorm going on right now here in Houston. All right. You have a blue circle right there at the bottom showing that I'm connected to the simulator. If I double click, it'll disconnect me. And if you double click again, it'll ask you to log on. So there's no quick switch like a button that just switches you automatically. It's going to require you to enter your password again. Okay. Is there a way, and this is a question right here on YouTube, is there a way to sell portions of your position instead of exact amounts? Like being able to sell 1/4, 1/2 of whatever your position is. We are trying to incorporate that right here in the matrix. We don't have it right here in the matrix. However, if you come over here to the top trade bar, I'm going to click on, see, this is my trade bar for Disney. Let's say, for example, that I want to buy to cover half of this. What I can do is, first of all, click on the P. The P will automatically link your quantity to the number of shares you own. And then I'm going to click on this little drop down next to P, which allows me to sell percentages of my position. If I want to sell 50%, I select it, and then I buy to cover. Oh, it's invalid or missing price. Let's say, for example, we want to sell at the bid. Oh, no. We want to, hold on. It was rejected. Why was my order rejected? Let's see. I'm going to hover over the reason. Because I'm buying. Let me buy at the ask instead. And it's rejected my order. Let's see what's going on here. If you have any rejects or any orders that get rejected, what I recommend you guys do is go to the apps and open up the trade manager window. Let me go here to the trade manager. I know that I'm side tracking here a moment, but I want to make sure that you guys are aware of where you can go if you're having issues within a particular order. So right here, you can see that my Disney orders to buy to cover 250 are being rejected. The order status says rejected here on the far right, but I'm going to go here to my messages, and right here it tells me you are short 500 shares with 500 remaining on. Okay, I know what's going on. And if you and the message here tells you what's going on. It says, I'm not sure if you guys are able to understand the message, but what it says here is that you're short 500 shares with 500 remaining on buy orders. This is telling me that you already have a buying transaction for them. If you guys remember what I did here in the matrix, I have a stop that I submitted up here. You guys remember? Yep, that buy to cover at 200. So if I submit another selling transaction, it's going to say, well, you cannot do that. You cannot sell what you have multiple times. You can only sell it once. Let me go ahead and cancel that that buying to cover. And now it should work. So I'm going to buy. This is the buy at the asking price of 169.91. I'm going to buy to cover. There it goes. Now it fills my order. And if you look at my position size for Disney, you can see the position right here at the top. It's minus 250. It's half of what I had earlier. Okay. Now, for any additional questions, again, I recommend you guys join me in my Q&A getting started at 11:30. We can walk you through all types of setups and questions. So make sure you join me there. I may not have the time to show you specific examples as the questions that I'm getting here, but we can talk about all the different issues you're having with the TradeStation platform. But again, that is going to be on youcantrade.com. Find the Getting Started with TradeStation channel, and we're going to be there at 11:30 for Q&A. Remember that this is a free channel, free membership, so you shouldn't have to submit any type of billing or credit card information. If you enter an order with a stop on the matrix, will you see those orders on the graph? Yes, certainly. You'll have access to that trade information on the graph. Let's go ahead and take a look at some scanning features, because I think that'll give us a good wrap on what you can do with TradeStation. I'm going to save this workspace tab as my trade manager. And I'm going to open a fourth tab. Notice that all the tabs here are aligned. Makes it very quick for me to go from one tab to the next. That's what I meant at the very beginning, that you're going to start creating your own desktop and saving workspaces at the bottom so that it makes it efficient for you to find the data you're looking for and to place the trades that you want to trade. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Radar Screen application. And I want to use Radar Screen because it gives you more than what it appears to give you. So let me go ahead and undock my trade bar. Here's my Radar Screen, and you can see that it comes up empty by default. I can type symbols manually, or I can use one of the prepackaged list of symbols. Let me go to data and add a symbol list, and I'm going to start off with the NASDAQ 100. These are all the 100 stocks that make up the NASDAQ 100 index. Let me scroll to the very top. Let me remove the top two rows, which is the label and the index itself. Now I'm left with the 100 symbols. You can see that Apple is at the very top. Apple is listed on NASDAQ, and it's part of the NASDAQ index. All these symbols that you find here in the NASDAQ 100 can be ranked based on any column that you have here in the Radar Screen. These are the default columns that come in Radar Screen. So if I want to see out of the 100 symbols, which one is the most expensive one, I just have to double click on the last header right here. Double click. The symbols are sorted in ascending order, meaning that you get the cheapest, which is Siri, at $5.98, and the most expensive is going to be at the bottom. If you double click again, it'll inverse the sort. So now you can see how the most expensive one is Amazon at 3,300, next to Google at 2,900, and so forth. So ranking symbols is very simple to do right here on Radar Screen. Same for net change. If you want to see the one that has the highest increment in price, double click on percent change. Notice that this one right here, Fiserv, has dropped 9% today since the close of yesterday. Maybe something we want to take a look at. Let's double click again, and it goes in descending order. The one that has gained the most is this stock right here. This is Xilinx. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. The symbol is XLNX. We can see that there was a gain of 7.6% since the close of yesterday. So a lot of these columns, as I said before, they can be sorted and you can rank symbol based on these values. But you can also do it on technical analysis. For example, let me go ahead and click here on the plus on the far right. It allows you to add more columns. Let's suppose that I want to do an RSI, overbought and oversold. If you're familiar with RSI, very simple study. Let me just add it over here, click OK. So notice that you have an overbought and an oversold column. You know, sometimes you get these charting studies like RSI, and here in radar screen makes no sense to keep a overbought and oversold column, but it's okay. You can hide those. If I go here to RSI, data, not data, studies, show hide plots, you can hide certain, columns like the oversold and the overbought. Studies, show hide, and I'm going to hide the oversold. So now I'm just looking at the RSI value. But as I did with percent change or the last traded price, I can sort here by RSI and take a look at all the stocks that are oversold. That's any stock that is below 30. And the RSI column here makes it very nice because you can see the numbers are in blue. And if you double click again, you'll see all the ones that are overbought. Here, Google, Microsoft, and right here, this one here, Marriott, they're all overbought. So interesting concept. Remember that the RSI is looking for those stocks to return from these overbought and oversold levels to put in a trading signal. But this allows you to rank those symbols based on values, even on technical calculations. Do you guys remember what we started off talking about when we were doing charting and we put in the moving average to line? It'd be interesting to know, out of all the 100 symbols that make up the NASDAQ 100, which ones are crossing right now? That's something that radar screen can tell you. Let me show you how you can set that up. I'm going to click on this plus right here. And let's go ahead and look for the moving average to line indicator. Here it is. I'm going to add it, and I'm going to click OK. This time, I'm just going to use the default settings so that it's, you can change the parameters, but I just want to use default settings to make it simpler. And I'm going to remove some columns here because I'm running out of space. I want to be able to put a chart here on the right-hand side. So these 4 columns, the bid, ask, high, and low, I don't need them in my radar screen. So I'm going to click and drag so that I can highlight those 4 columns. And I'm going to press delete on the keyboard. Then I'm going to this allows me to resize my radar screen and then have my chart analysis right here on the right-hand side. Let me resize this chart. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to match the time frame. So this is 5 minutes right here. This is 5 minutes right here. We can do a daily time frame too. Let's do daily on the chart. And here in radar screen, I'm going to highlight the symbols. I have to select the symbols first before I change or select the time frame. And I can make it daily. And notice that changes the calculations here for the moving averages. So here in my studies, I'm going to add the same study here on my chart. And what I do, instead of turning on the alert here on my chart, I turn on the alert here instead of radar screen. I'm going to right click on the column header, go to studies, and I'm going to edit the moving average for all symbols. Here, I just go to alerts, enable the alert, and I'm going to turn off messaging center. I'm doing this more like a scan. So I don't really want to hear sounds or have pop-up windows on my screen because I want to see the result right now. So I'm looking at the radar screen. So it's more like a visual scan. I don't want to be receiving sounds or pop-up windows. So I'm disabling that part by selecting none here. I'm going to click OK, and that's it. But you can see that right here on the column, I'm getting every so often, I get a little red marker. Those are like real-time alerts for this crossover. Let's go ahead and check them out. I'm going to link my chart by using the symbol linking right here at the very top. I'm going to link the 2 windows together. Now, as long as they show the same color for the S, which stands for symbol, whenever I click on a symbol here on the left, like Google, I'll see Google right here on the screen as we speak. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this one. This is MAR. This is Marriott. I'm going to click it. Take a look at what's happening on the current candle. Now, this is incredible because now the 2 moving averages are crossing. There seems to be a cross back and forth on this on these two moving averages. It seems like on the prior candle, it appeared like the fast moved lower, but now on the current candle, it moved higher. So I'm not sure if that's a false signal, if it's just going to continue on, going to the upside, or it's an indication of maybe the uptrend is over for Marriott. Now, those are things that you have to take a look at. But now I was able to find that crossover here for Marriott. Another symbol that I see is right here at the bottom, EA. This is Electronic Arts. I click it. There we go. Now, not a long time ago, we had a crossover. So we've had a couple of crossovers here without a clear trend. So maybe what's happening here to Electronic Arts, not sure what's going on, not a very clear trend. So maybe this crossover has to be studied a little bit more. The next one is this one right here. This is Charter Communications. I click it. Notice that there's a more clear crossover here. But notice that I'm able to find these symbols that are crossing right now in a daily bar. And I didn't have to look at 100 chart analysis windows. I just put my symbols in radar screen. I turned on my alert, and this is doing all the scanning for me. In fact, if I don't want to scroll down and look for the symbols, I can set a filter right here at the top of my radar screen. Like, for example, I can click on the drop down here, select my moving average, and I can select the alert, set to true. So take a look at the three symbols that are shown there. Out of the 100 symbols that make up the NASDAQ 100, 3 are crossing the moving average two-line study at these parameters, which is 9 and 18. Are those good trading signals? It's up to you to determine. But what I wanted to show you is that you can take any calculation, any type of criteria, apply it as a column to the radar screen, window, and radar screen is just going to return symbols that are matching, that are giving you the exact criteria. So if you have your own methodology or if you have your own rules to trade certain symbols, you can put all those rules into an indicator and maybe scan the universe of symbols based on that criteria. That would be great to do. So I want to encourage everyone to use radar screen and learn how you can use the tool to help you find all these trading opportunities. David says that this has, it hasn't worked for you, like entering the trades and not seeing them on the chart. We can look at different things that you can do, David. So join me in the Q&A at 11:30, and I'll be glad to show you some things for you to check out. Okay. Yes, I agree, PJ. It's a great feature of TradeStation, and everybody that has the TradeStation desktop should actually take a look at Radar Screen, because it's pretty cool how it can find stuff that you're probably doing manually. So this is going to be a time saver for anybody that's looking for different stocks. I know some traders out there, they stick to the knowns, the usual suspects is what I call. Like they only trade, I'm only trading Netflix and Google and Apple and Tesla. But it's interesting how you can find some other interesting opportunities out there. So Radar Screen is going to be a great tool for that. All right, I'm going to end it here. I wanted to show you a little bit of charting, a little bit of matrix, and a little bit of scanning. So hopefully you guys saw some very cool functionality here. Again, if you want to continue the discussion on some of these tools, please join me at 11:30 inside of the Getting Started channel, youcantrade.com. Again, thank you for your time. We're also doing a class inside of the master class. Now, this is of course the premium channel, but today we're doing a class at 12:30 in the afternoon. That's Eastern time, where we talk about a custom strategy. We're going to highlight a strategy called the auto trend line strategy, something that was written a long time ago, but we're going to talk about it and see how we can apply it to our charts today. All right. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for joining me on this session, and I hope to see you in a future class. Goodbye, everyone. Have great luck in your trading. Bye-bye.